Hello, all you mountaineers. Welcome to episode 5 of Commentaryland. It's been a long while, but this episode is about our most recent episode of Historyland, all about Fantasyland. So we hope you all enjoy listening to us. Let's see, Jeremy, do you have anything you'd like to say? Oh, well, Jeremy's joined with me again, as he normally is. Why don't you say hello to everybody?
Hello.
And it's been a while since we've done one of these, so hopefully it all goes well. But do you have anything you'd like to say before we get the episode started?
I have nothing to say. I am excited to see what comes up as we go through it.
All right. Well, let's see. I guess we should not really explain, but sort of give reasoning why it's taken so long to get another episode out there. We hoped that you guys could tell why it took so long once you saw the runtime for the episode, because it is our longest episode so far. Yeah, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think, I take responsibility for how long it took because I kept, there were a lot of personal things that were happening with my apartment and stuff so I just kept postponing really getting things done. But I think it was more to do with the fact that the stakes of quality felt higher. I feel like with like volume 2, when I first started writing, it felt like, oh, these were easy to whip out. It didn't The format that it was at the time was more lenient in terms of I could just write down the facts in an interesting way, and then Matt would go off and do his thing, and the video would look the same in the same kind of format every week. But when we ventured into volume 3, that we kind of opened a lot of creative doors that by the time we got to like the Splash Mountain video, there were so many things that we wanted to take time with to make a quality episode that there was just no way that was going to be able to happen on a weekly basis. And what we crafted with the Fantasyland episode took a lot of time. We would spend often 2 to 3 weeks refining a stretch of 5 minutes of it. So I think I don't want to. We should get into this. So that's my only preface.
Well, yeah. So for those of you guys asking for an explanation, there it is. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. We had a lot of fun putting it together. We discovered a lot about, I guess, the future of where we want to take not just Historyland, but the channel as a whole. I guess a lot of ideas have sort of sprung out. I guess a lot of spin-offs, I guess I should say, have sort of come to fruition because of this episode of Historyland. So you have this episode to thank for a lot of what you're going to see on the future of the channel. We hope you all enjoy all of that. And very excited to share all that with you guys. But without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. So I'll count down from 3, and then right. I'll say go, and then we'll press play on go.
The most nerve-wracking part. Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. I guess first off, we should explain, because I was hoping to get sort of like a teaser out before the episode came out about what matter sound is. I guess the easiest way to explain what it is, it's not really. I sort of made it out to sound like we invented this like new sort of technology, like that no other YouTuber has done before, but with it's just simple editing tricks where you can move different parts of audio to your left side, left channel, right channel, so it sort of flows from ear to ear. And we took full creative liberties with this intro right here. The prelude of Fantasyland is sort of we sort of experimented with it on the Splash Mountain episode with the prelude, or the Act 1 to that episode. And that was a lot of fun. That was one of my favorite parts of the episode. And yeah, that sort of just
Yeah.
came to fruition. This is sort of like the brainchild of that idea.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, it took us a while to arrive at this being
Mm-hmm.
the opening of the episode, because I had originally written what was to be a almost an overture. Well, it was an overture, and
Mm-hmm.
it would fuse in and combine the opening notes of the different main title sequences of classic Disney animated films to almost feel like one cohesive piece of music,
Mm-hmm.
as these kind of overture title cards would pass through. It wasn't reading the way that we had intended it to, and so we kind of went back to the drawing board, and Matt was like, I think I know how to solve it. And he put together that atmospheric journey through Fantasyland. And I was like, that's exactly what we're going for. And he was
Mm-hmm.
still able to include the kind of whispers of the main title music
Yeah.
throughout, so that it really brought together the idea of Fantasyland's origins being, you know, all of the animated films. Brilliant.
um.
Now that's true collaboration, because
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah. Very proud of the way that turned out, and that's going to be sort of the, I guess not the focus of. Well, I guess the focus of an upcoming series that we're planning. No spoilers, but um,
And there's a lot in store, and I hope there'll be more announcements soon.
very soon. Yes, and the overture thing that we put together before we got to that matter sound concept. We initially just like threw it away, like you said, but I figured out a way to sort of incorporate it into the end credits of the episode. So
Yeah,
yeah, sort of like
yeah,
a
yeah.
inside joke kind of thing. Well, not I guess not a joke, but just sort of like
I don't
a
know. I kind of like the traditional end credits, but it was
yeah.
a
I did
nice
too,
way to
but
it was a nice way to bring it back full circle to where we
yeah.
started in crafting the episode.
Yeah, and let's see. I guess here starts the actual episode. Gosh, I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what to say. Yeah, this is really this is my favorite episode that we've worked on, and we'll get to some of my personal favorite parts in the episode later on as we see them. But
Yeah, it's so funny. Starting, we break everything down into acts. What we, like a traditional television show. So when we say Act 1, Act 2, just know what we're just giving the viewers an idea of what we're talking about. But
yes,
Act 1, working on Act 1 feels like a million years ago.
I
mean,
know, I know.
so much has happened.
Yeah, I want to say we got maybe like 5 or 10 minutes of Act 1. Maybe not even 10 minutes. I'd say like 5 or 6 minutes of Act 1 completed. I want to say like 4 or even maybe like 3.5 months ago.
Well, we were working on that original overture idea
Mhm.
back in November.
Yeah.
And that we spent a good maybe like 3-4 weeks on trying to figure that out alone, and then I think sometime in December I started writing Act 1, and then
Mhm.
everything started to really take shape. So yeah, probably like 3 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like forever ago, but I guess you guys watching, hopefully you couldn't tell that they were written so far apart from each other. But yeah, there's just a lot of history to Fantasyland that I didn't really necessarily know that we should include in the episode until I read Jeremy's script.
Same. And when I really found the motivation to write, was I found really great source material, and I realized that it starts in in the 30s. The spark of First of all, the spark of Disneyland and the spark of Fantasyland are connected,
Mm-hmm.
as because we talk about the Bavarian village, which is what Fantasyland is today. So I knew immediately that, oh my god, it starts It starts with the beginning of, feature-length animated film. Then the challenge was to not make the video feel like it was going off topic.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't feel that way, but I'm sure someone in the comments will let me know if it does.
Well, we've gotten a lot of fairly positive feedback so far, at least on this episode, compared to the Splash Mountain episode. But
so far so good.
Yeah, we just gotta wait for I guess a couple more weeks for it to reach
the
level of exposure that the Splash Mountain episode has, and then I'm sure all the other comments will start rolling in. But that's fine. Those comments
of course,
are always helpful.
But I think we kind of earned our artistic liberties in this one, whereas with Splash Mountain, people had, I think, very valid arguments of why would you focus so much on style when you skipped over so much information. Whereas here, I think we covered so much ground in terms of information that even stuff that I had to unfortunately leave out doesn't feel lost, because I think that the story that we're trying to tell is very clear.
This is another one of my favorite parts of the episode, the wartime sequence, as we called it.
Oh yeah, this is, when we put this together is when I knew that we had a really a special episode.
And I'd like to give a special thanks to all the what are those DVDs, the Walt Disney Treasures DVDs. We got a lot of footage from those DVDs that we used in this episode.
Well, that's basically where, the only place to get footage of historical stuff, and hopefully they re-release those.
One can only hope. The new streaming service, probably not, but I don't know. I'm still holding out hope. Yeah, we definitely bought every single one that we used. Most definitely. I just want to put that out there. This is one of those episodes that I feel like is really had not just like an impact on the channel, but an impact on me, because of this episode, I had never seen Dumbo before or Bambi before, and because of this episode, I watched those two films, and I realize now that I've completely missed out all these years, because those are two really incredible films that Dumbo is quickly moved to my top 3 at least favorite Disney movies of all time.
They are two of the best, and it's important to watch those films just for context of where animation has come. You know? And specifically Disney as a film studio.
And we 100% bought those films as well on Blu-ray. And
well, I do actually own them on Blu-ray, so I can sort of give a pass.
Well, I definitely bought them. I think this Matterhorn Matt tag is the one thing that's still lingered on from the original Historyland episodes.
Now this was great too.
Yes.
Actually, the funny thing is, I was inspired to use this piece of music as the beginning of this, as the beginning for this act, because of when you watched Dumbo. I was like rewatching it too at the same time, and I loved that end sequence at the end of the movie. I was like, oh yeah, the beginning of Act 2 can begin with the newspaper roll after newspaper roll. They give us a post-war context.
Yeah, I remember Jeremy sent over the script for that, the very beginning of Act 2, and it said, the newspapers roll by with all the headlines, and I was like, wait, why make something new when I can try and improve on what Dumbo already has and use it for the episode? Well, I guess that's one thing we sort of glossed over. I don't know if you guys saw in the beginning of the prelude, Well, I guess I should go back and say the original films that the Walt Disney Animation Studios made were in the 2:3 aspect ratio, and I
The 4:3, right?
4:3, 4:3. That's right.
Yeah.
And I using the using the knowledge I have gained over all the years of using Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects, I guess I don't know what the right words to say would be. I enlarged them to the aspect ratio of Historyland. I sort of like extended the edges of where the black would be, and that's another one of my favorite things of the episode, because I learned how to do that during this episode. Now we can use that in future episodes, hopefully, to make everything look really neat.
Act 2 as a whole is, I think, my favorite thing that we've done so far.
Yeah, I agree. The opening prelude to Fantasyland is a close second, but I do agree. Act 2 is my favorite thing that we've done so far on the channel. And funny story about this map. Last episode, I animated I don't remember what year that map was from, but I animated the Disneyland map, and this map right here that I animated, this was really like last minute. I want to say I finished doing that maybe 2 or 3 hours before the video was published on YouTube. And I feel like that's an achievement in its own. Yeah.
It was one of the final. Yeah, that was something you worked on that long night before. That Thursday night before Friday. That's so true. Yeah.
A lot of the stuff. I guess more of the stylistic stuff in Act 2, and more just Act 3 overall was done really last minute. And I have to say,
that's the thing. It was a months long process, but the stuff you're seeing from now until the end of the video was put together in the span of maybe 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I think that's an achievement in itself.
It is. Now, that being said, I watch Act 2 and I go, oh, if we only had another week, we could really refine that moment there. We could bring this out more here. Those music edits could be cleaner, stuff like that. But I'm still proud of the way it turned out. And all that means is that we can absolutely top ourselves. So there we go.
Yeah, I agree. When I watched over the episode, I could see a little moments, especially in the montage at the end of Act 2, where I just had ideas after the fact that we couldn't implement.
Oh, me too. Thank God I wasn't the only one. But yeah, exactly. And we'll talk about that when we get there. One thing that helped me craft the whole thing, but really mostly Act 2, was music, because I felt it helped me find where to go, and how to concisely tell the story while making it interesting. And what I found because of that, each piece of music helped build a level of tension until it explodes into that, final montage, because of how Fantasyland came together. So I'm proud of the music selections in this whole episode.
Yes. I was gonna bring that up because this part of Act 2 especially went through, I want to say, like 2 or 3 different music changes, and with this song Jeremy initially ended it on, it sort of matched up almost perfectly with the visuals that was on screen. It was almost kind of like scary because I don't know, it just matched up perfectly.
Like all the like, which ones? Like actually, so many music selections changed during this part. But no, the ones I found, because I'd be like, no, I'd watch a test that Matt would send, and I'd go, no, that doesn't capture what I think this moment is, and I would go back and kind of look for a better piece, and I would find a piece of music that would have the rhythm and the tone that
Mhm.
matched the part of the story that was going on, and it affected the way I would write the sequence, which of course then would affect the way that it was edited and pieced together. So the
Mhm.
music really is, for a while we felt that music is more of a prominent character in the Historyland episodes, but this episode I think is a next evolution of that. The music
Yes.
really guides the whole thing.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think the viewers agree as well, because with the original Historyland videos, it was just the people mover music, and it didn't really help set the tone of anything I was
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, sure that those pieces of music are awesome, the people mover soundtrack, but nothing compared to this.
I love the music that's used here because it there's an underlying sense of building tension, you
Mm.
know. Uh it's great.
Yeah. I sort of had a little trouble coming into at least this part of the episode, trying to figure out what to do visually, and I just
Mhm.
ended on having the clips of the movies like you just saw of Snow
Mhm.
White, and then this is not
It
old
worked.
footage. This is recent. I think this was taken in 2017 from Big Fat Panda, the YouTube channel. Um,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really work if it was 1080p widescreen. I just cropped it up, put some grain on it.
No, this it's great. Yeah.
And yeah, you can see like a lady filming on her iPhone right here. I thought that was pretty funny.
I know. Yeah. Something I think is effective is the jumping between what everyone's working on, as opposed
Mhm.
to kind of telling this very linear. I knew, because Disneyland was so, they didn't know what they were doing, and that's what was exciting about it. How I wanted to jump between everyone's conflicts and everyone's triumphs and
Mhm.
everyone's epiphanies and everyone's setbacks. Like Herb Ryman's in a room trying to figure out the castle, and Claude Coates and Ken Anderson are in another room trying to figure out how to make dark rides tell a story, and
Mhm.
Walt Disney's trying to find a carousel, and then it all collides and clashes together, and it throws us directly into the construction sequence which is coming up. So I'm
Mhm.
proud of that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was genius the way you did that. Um, I guess of all the movies, I still haven't seen Mr. Toad. That Wind in the what? I don't even remember what it's called. I still haven't seen that, but I do have it
Yeah,
downloaded.
yeah.
So
It marks the end of the package film era, and you
mhm.
can kind of really feel that they're really excited about getting back into more feature-length animated films, because the next film after that is Cinderella.
Oh, okay.
So, but it kind of marks the end of the wartime era.
Mhm. There you go, Herb Ryman.
And I thought this little piece of segment of music right here really matched
Mhm.
the story.
Yeah.
It took a while to find this.
There's a lot of changes that went into this episode, you guys. This is another one of my favorite parts.
Me too.
It's another example of that that the music from Bambi just goes along, so perfectly with the idea of the montage of Disneyland getting built.
Yeah, because for people who don't know, that music is used in Bambi when Thumper and Bambi are trying to kind of, I guess skate, not really, on
Mhm.
ice, and Bambi keeps, slipping and falling, and I felt it was kind of comically tied with the chaos of building Disneyland and
Mhm.
Fantasyland specifically.
And it's just a beautiful piece of music as well. It's one of my favorite parts from the movie. One day, I'll be the one to invent a time machine to be able to go back and see all this. Mark my words.
I'm gonna hold you to it then.
I might need
There's
a little
lot
help,
I'd like
though,
to
but-
see.
Ay, ay, ay. I'm curious. Do you know when Mark Davis started working? Was he working on the films before he went to Disneyland? Is that
Oh,
correct?
he's one of the originals. He's he's one of the 9 old men. I don't know if he was working at the studio pre Snow White or whether he was hired during Snow White, but he
Okay.
is one of the 9 old men. So he's one of the original artists, Disney artists.
Okay. Interesting. I guess one thing I forgot to mention, I still have to perfect it though, but I added a little, I guess, like watermark. I hate watermarks that are added over like video clips. You know, there was one that we struggled with early on, of, I think it was like a documentary of the making of Snow White, and I don't know. I decided to add a little teeny tiny watermark in the bottom right corner to help sort of. Initially, my idea was to have it switch to from the normal Matterhorn logo to the Matter Sound logo whenever a Matter Sound sequence would come up. But you know, throughout the episode, we sort of didn't add any more of those sequences, besides the opening
Right.
one and the war sequence. But yeah, so that's a little, I guess, Easter egg that I haven't seen anyone in the comments pick up on.
Well, it makes sense because, you know, the whole conceit of the channel is that it's a television channel with different shows and stuff. So yeah, I think having a watermark works for this.
Yeah, and I think we're moving back towards, because I feel like with some of the episodes, the previous episodes prior to season volume 3, sort of strayed away, I guess, from the concept of this being, you know, like a TV channel. Historyland's like a TV show. I feel like we're really sort of going back to that, slowly but surely.
That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah, with this and with a lot of our upcoming upcoming series we're working on. Very, very excited.
One of the blessings of doing this part of the sequence was I didn't realize that this piece of instrumental music was just a rearrangement of a song that was written in the early days of Disneyland with vocals. So I got really excited by the idea of, you know, combining those two songs to kind of create a motif for this whole segment as it builds to the montage. And then it just, you know, the music takes over.
Yeah, and that Disneyland 61 instrumental is one of my favorite pieces of music that I've
It's a great track.
Yeah. I'll link it down in the description for you guys, because if you haven't listened to it, download it now. Add it to one of your playlists on YouTube. It's really, really amazing.
Fantasyland continued to grow, but not all new ideas were met with
This is
Had
sort
to
of.
include.
the Imagineers.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, this is one of those sequences where I wish we had, you know, just like an extra day or two to help perfect the visuals in it.
Precisely. I think the build to the montage is fantastic. And then, you know, and everyone's commenting on it, and I think they're somehow right a little bit. And it happens right here, actually. I think there if we just had even a day, we could have made this transition cleaner and clearer. But the intention was for the music and the visuals to overwhelm Matt's voice so that the narration becomes irrelevant as the visuals and the music take over the story in an almost fantasy dream sequence. And I think we could have gone a lot. I think this is the best montage we've done so far in terms of giving information and telling story. But I think we could have gone so much further with that idea in mind. Like we could have gone full on Mary Blair surreal sequence, Three Caballeros type, not that extreme, but but as I said before, all that means is that we know how to do better next time. So that's exciting.
Yes. And this is my favorite favorite thing that we've ever done so far, this montage.
Me too.
Even though it could be perfected a little bit better, like you said, it's still my favorite thing. And sort of call back to the Space Mountain episode, because I think we used either a version of this song or the same version.
We used this song for a very brief moment in that episode where we talk about the Matterhorn. And I was hesitant to bring back this music because of that, but once the idea started to really take off, I thought, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It fits perfectly, in my opinion. And sort of a callback to that episode, because the same montage, because we did a montage on like you said, of the Matterhorn in the Space Mountain episode to the exact same. Well, I lined it up to make it like almost the exact same, almost like a new and improved version of that sequence. But yeah, we really hope you guys enjoyed that sequence, because it's really it's my favorite part that we've ever done.
Me too. I'm also proud that we were able to keep the commercials relevant, because I feel like the commercials only really work when they are related to the episode.
And sort of with this episode, because Jeremy sort of teased early on that this was going to be a longer episode, I sort of had the idea in mind that we could maybe, because last episode we tried something of having like our own sort of commercial for the Patreon. I since this was a longer episode, I had in the back of my mind, maybe we can try having 2 commercials in between acts and have one retro commercial and along with one relevant commercial related to the channel itself. But we just didn't have enough time to go into that kind of thing.
Yeah, and if we do a commercial for Patreon or for the channel, I'd want it to still be stylistically consistent, so something in a vintage style. But we don't need to talk about that now.
Yeah, big shout out to Retro WDW for this specific video. I believe it's the
I remember when they released that, and it was just incredible.
Yeah, I think we actually talked about it on the podcast a while back. Big shout out to Retro WDW for that amazing restored. I can't even remember what the video was called, but it's about the sort of the conception and construction of the Magic Kingdom of Walt Disney World. Really amazing stuff they do.
I think just a big shout out to them for their dedication to preservation of all of those films. I mean, I don't know how they find what they find, but they are great.
Yeah, they have way more restored films than just this one. You guys should definitely go check out their YouTube channel, also their website, watermarked there. I felt like that was okay to sort of leave the watermark on just because of...
absolutely, because of the work that they do.
This part right here for me, I initially had the idea, because it sort of zooms in, and it vaguely zooms in, like on that part. Did it zoom into 56, 58, 57? I had the initial idea when I found this high-quality version of this map to sort of zoom in, and this one's zooming in on 57 because that was for Mr. Toad, I believe. I initially had the idea to how do I say this? To zoom in like that one for 58 for Mr. Toad, and then it would sort of line would come off, and then gosh, I don't know how to explain it. Have like a clip of either from the Mr. Toad movie or from the ride itself, and sort of have it like connected to like a line coming off of the 58, and then connect it to the clip of the movie or the ride, because it just zooms in vaguely on. You can't really tell which number it is, and it doesn't show the map for the, what is it called, what the numbers are actually stood for, and that was another time constraint thing, but yeah, in the future we'll improve.
Yeah, well, this act was put together in less than 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fine. I think it actually works to have it be kind of a come down from Act 2. I probably could have delved more into better details about this part of the history, but it turned out well. It's more along the lines of a traditional Historyland episode, but I think it works.
Yeah, no, it works. It works perfectly, especially the length of it, because if there was even like 5 or 10 minutes more dialogue, the episode would have to either be postponed for another day, or it would have to be released at like 10 o'clock at
Right.
night.
Yeah.
So
Good point.
What we ended up with was perfect for the time constraints that we put on ourselves.
Baxter and his team convinced themselves that they were out to improve Walt's Fantasyland, not destroy it.
Oh, and then the March of the Cards
Not without
theme
bumps, however.
comes
back, but in its
Skull Rock and the Chicken of the Sea
re-recorded,
Baxter discovered
wonder for the 83
fragile and could no
Fantasyland. I'm losing my words too.
next biggest change was to improve congestion in the main core.
Again, big shout out to whoever uploaded this special that goes into a lot of detail about the 80s Tomorrowland refurb with all of these clips of these wonderful models.
80s Tomorrowland,
80s Fantasyland, sorry. Yeah, all these wonderful models, these pans and dollies around these models really helped us with the episode.
To a Bavarian village, just like in Pinocchio. And speaking of Pinocchio, Baxter would leave his mark on the land by designing a brand new.
I guess I have to say, I mean, I haven't been to the original Fantasyland. I do feel like the new Fantasyland was a huge improvement on the original.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how you plus the park.
And I do wish I could visit Disneyland Paris one day.
It's a beautiful park.
For Disney World's Magic Kingdom. The tradition of respecting and re-enlivening the fantasy lands all around the world still persists
Man.
today, from coast to coast and sea to sea.
It's just, like you said earlier, it's just so strange to think from the very beginning of the episode with the overture that we put together, coming here to the very end of the episode, the end of the actual episode. It feels so surreal. I remember the Saturday after we uploaded the video, I sat down on my computer and I opened up the Premiere file for the Fantasyland episode, trying to see, like I was actually still working on it.
Yeah. I remember I felt, wow, I can't believe we put up another Historyland. Like something felt weird about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We put a lot of time and energy into this one, more so than any other episode. And it's exciting. I think this episode is kind of serving as a transition period for the channel. So it means a lot, yeah.
And here is the original prelude that we had.
A taste of what that overture
yeah.
was.
We went through so many variations of that as well.
I know.
And I had animated these as well. I could not put them in because we put a lot of work into.
My only comment about it is I wish you could go back and take off the the pitch
Yeah.
increase and slow down for the Dumbo part at the end because it sounds awful.
Yeah, it really does. I'm sure you guys, if you stayed till the end, could tell. I had to stretch out this music for Dumbo and change the pitch to it so it wouldn't get caught by the copyright. YouTube's copyright.
It still got caught.
It still ended up getting caught, and you know, it wouldn't have mattered anyways because a bunch of other songs previously in the episode got flagged as well. So even if we just made this one change, it's not like it would have allowed us to monetize the video. But yeah, it is very strange to hear it like that.
Oh, it's worse than strange. Ratings.
Hey, here's another sort of thing, memorabilia from the past of the channel. And here we end with the tribute. Ron Miller,
Yes.
Dave Smith. Rest in peace. They will be greatly missed. And this quote Jeremy sent in our Discord chat. I had to include it in the episode. I couldn't not.
It's a good quote. It's a good quote.
And that's the episode. Wow. 37 minutes went by. Felt like just 10 minutes ago we started doing this.
Exactly. As always. I told you we would know how to jump back into these.
We've been out of the game for a while, you guys. Don't cut us some slack. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you, well, I guess enjoyed this episode of Commentaryland and also enjoyed this episode of Historyland. Because yeah, we do have a lot of great things in the works. I guess at this point, this is going up on a Friday, so excuse me. Apologies, everybody.
Oh yeah, so people will have already seen the great moments in Historyland at this point.
Yeah, should we go? I don't really think there's like anything at all to say about that.
No, I think that'll speak for itself.
Yeah.
Interesting. We're talking about something that hasn't been released yet while we record this, but when this is released, you will know exactly what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I guess it's sort of inspired off this short little series that the Pixar YouTube channel decided to put together. So if you think you've seen something like that before, that's where you've seen it from. You know, not like trying to copy Pixar. We just thought it'd be a good idea for Historyland.
It's a little peek at behind the scenes.
Yeah, because not a lot of people actually get to read the full script that you write. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like he said, a little peek. Yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up this episode of Commentaryland. Do you have anything you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, not at all.
All right. I guess just be on the lookout, because we're working on a lot of amazing. I really wish we could share what we're planning for the channel with you guys, but it's gonna have.
We will sooner than you think. We will.
Yes. Yeah. It just really hurts to hold off from telling everybody, because But yeah, be on the lookout. Especially for what was that? Great Moments in Historyland. I have another idea to sort of spin off from that in my head. I don't know how well that's gonna go, but yeah, an idea. Hopefully it comes to fruition. Hopefully you guys enjoy the channel, enjoy the episode, and on that note, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Everybody, we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.